Charles Baudelaire, the author that I talk about as part of this Flâneur concept, right? He wrote about this man, this like really well-dressed man, but very humble. And he would walk through the streets of New York and Paris and London with a turtle on a leash. And you might ask, why is this man walking with a turtle on a leash? And it was to promote and encourage slowness, presence, right? So they could really take in everything happening around them. That's who I was. I was the guy who was just, running down the street from place to place all the time. And so this is also like a way for me to slow down. The way that we encourage this in the hotel, it's just people are asking these questions. They want to know, how do we encourage that? And so we tell that story a lot of the time, right? And
I need a pet turtle. Welcome to Teague Talks. I'm your host, Teague Hunter. Today we're in New York City, sitting down with Alex Ohebshalom. Alex is a very passionate, deep, poetic soul, and I am super excited to share his story with you guys. Alex, thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to sit down and do this. Our industry, we get to know a lot of people. Your unique story in our industry. So tell me, where are we, and how did we get to this wonderful place?
Thank you so much for having me, Teague. I really, really appreciate it. We are in the Fifth Avenue Hotel, sitting on the top floor in this beautiful lounge that we created here. The Fifth Avenue Hotel is located on the northwest corner of Fifth Avenue and 28th Street in the Nomad District here in New York.
New York City.
New York City, baby.
Thriving metropolis. How long have you been in New York?
I've been here my whole life. Grew up in Long Island, small town, Great Neck, and came here when I was 18. So
where are your parents from? How did your parents get you here?
My parents came here pre-revolution Iran. My father 1968, my mother 1975.
So they met here?
Here in New York, yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
Land of opportunity, it was kind of a vision quest on behalf of their parents, right? Most Iranians didn't come until the revolution actually happened. But their parents were like, we got to get out of here sooner rather than later. There's a lot happening in the U.S. and we want to start our enterprise, and so let's go on.
Sounds like the best decision they ever made.
Best decision ever.
I mean, looking around here, they did okay. Give me the origin behind your last name, Ohebshalom. Where does that come from?
Ohebshalom in literal translation means lover of peace. Quick story: in Iran, maybe 150, 200 years ago, there were no last names. And so I guess at a certain point when government, right, they had required, right, for you to choose a last name, a bunch of these, friends and cousins went to whatever agency it was and kind of said, I want to be, I want it to mean lover of X, Y, or Z. And so my great-grandfather, I think it was, chose lover of peace as his last name, and many others chose other, lover of X, Y, or Z, and just kind of felt, chose something that they felt.
Is it ring true today? We still love
very, very true. That if you look on my Instagram handle, it's lover of peace. That's my. I just want the simple things in life. Yeah.
I can tell. I can get that vibe from you already. Okay, so parents immigrate. They come here. They meet. They get married.
Correct.
And then what? What do they do?
My father, he had a real vision, along with his brothers and his father. They only had their one single trade, which was the rug industry. They brought Persian rugs back with them, right? And that's kind of what people most identify with when they think of, Iran back in the day. So they started, a rug company called Shalom Brothers here in New York City, not too far away from here, on the corner of 30th and 5th.
Is it still in business?
It's still in business, yeah, absolutely.
Why aren't you running that?
I
digress.
Make some good money. So long and short of that is, that was a pretty profitable business. They were slinging rugs, putting them in yellow taxis, driving them up and down, Manhattan, to these, pretty wealthy residences, and they made some real money from those proceeds. Whatever profits they had, they decided to reinvest that into distressed real estate in the 1970s. And so
Did they own their building? Did they start out with, I'm just assuming.
They did not own the building, no.
Okay, so they're buying other real estate.
Buying other real estate, yeah. First acquisition was in Rego Park, Queens. Small multifamily property. I think, when I look back, I'm like, how the hell did these guys have any sense of what to buy? Because in the 70s, New York was really distressed. Things were really troubled, and so they must have had some idea, some concept of how they wanted to expand that business. They were of the mindset that it should be a long-term, generational ownership model, right? They wanted to buy and hold for their grandkids, great-grandkids, which was a very good, they had the right intention, right? It was, hedge against inflation, as we all know. That's the game in real estate. Just hold things for the long term, and you'll watch values increase over time. So it's a very patient game that they played. So they come here, they buy their rugs into real estate, making hand over fist, like doing pretty well, and they just go on a buying spree. Mostly multifamily and commercial, but they start like cherry picking some nice iconic assets along Fifth Avenue, namely the one that we're sitting in right now. They acquired this building, which is the address of 250 Fifth Avenue, at an auction in 1978. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which I won't tell you the price because I think it would just make everybody...
Price? Come on, what's the price? What's the price? What was this building?
At the time, it was the Second National Bank of the United States. They had converted it into B&B Bank. So it was a bank on the retail and offices above. Just a dilapidated,
building.
Obsolete. Yeah, it wasn't.
And we're in, if my New York geography is right, we're sort of in the old garment district. Right? Nomad now.
Yeah. This was way back when. This was called Tin Pan Alley.
Thank you.
The entertainment hub of Manhattan.
Thank you.
All the music, all the entertainment, a lot of great artists. They had their kind of origin story started here. But yes, to your point, Flower District, Garment District, Chelsea. We're kind of at this epicenter of a lot of great neighborhoods right now. So Nomad has made its mark. It's here, right? It's way past the point of gentrification, right? I think we're reaping the benefits of like the seeds that were planted, 10 to 15 years ago, with all the retail that's popped up and all the great food and beverage that's popped up. And now it's so elevated to the point that we have this, 5.5-star luxury hotel, a block east of the Ritz-Carlton new flagship. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to know if your dad would have thought this was coming when he bought it in the 70s.
Absolutely not. They bought the building for $1 million at auction. Yeah. Silent, like closed bid auction. They had no real sense of what it would be. So now we're in a very different ball game.
Very different stratosphere.
Yeah. So they start buying, cherry picking all this, great Fifth Avenue real estate. And, within like 5 blocks of us, they bought a couple great properties, grew that portfolio over time. And eventually in 2012, mind you, like I through all my life, I'm born in 1990. So my father was a disciplined man, very, very tough. Like really wanted the best for us, wanted to push the envelope all the time, get the most out of his kids. And so, of course, with a successful father, it's like there was some onus, like some level of expectation to really perform. Always. So I was always in the office. I was always around the business. I just absorbed as much as I could. Stayed in New York for undergrad at his recommendation. He really wanted to keep me around. I worked through university. And just got a lot of great exposure in real estate until I decided to go into construction and development coming out of school. That was kind of what I thought. I thought we were missing that discipline in our business. So it was, a great path for me to take, just to learn ground up construction. Coming out of the recession, there was a lot of land online for purchase. Dirt was pretty cheap at that time. Construction costs were really low. Interest rates were really low. So I thought, let me go and build something new. So I started working for a contractor in Manhattan, and I built a hotel. on 33rd between Park and Madison. I built a Hilton Garden Inn.
Not for you.
Not for me, for another developer.
That's smart, because what I was thinking was development is not easy. Construction is not easy. And if you learn on your own dime, that's a heck of a risk. So
Right.
good for you. You went for a third party, learned, built the Hilton Garden Inn.
Correct. Much bigger scale,
Yeah.
like almost 300 keys. I was a superintendent, so I really got to know, all the highs and lows of construction. Very, very cold winters. I don't know if you remember, like in New York, 10 to 15 years ago, we had these like polar vortex winters.
Oh,
Anybody
yeah.
remember this? I mean, it was like
No, I don't.
nasty
But yes,
winters.
You said that.
I was the hoist operator. So in the thick of the winter, 22 years old, I was just like, taking all these, 100 and something men up and down the building, no matter what time of day, what time of night, no matter how cold it was, and it was pretty brutal. I finished that construction. Took me about 3 years, and when I was done, I was pretty lost, like just in my social life, right? I was like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? What do I want? Maybe some spiritual, like I was just looking for some awakening, right? So I decided I was going to take a trip. Like I just wanted to go away. I consulted with my family. I was like, do you guys mind if I head out of town for a little bit? I'm going to book a one-way flight, and maybe I'll come back in a couple weeks. Maybe it'll be a year. Who knows? And so I booked a one-way flight to Hong Kong. I wanted to explore Southeast Asia. That was my kind of like dream. So booked this one-way flight to Hong Kong. I'm into just a backpack. I'm there on my own, and I'm kind of exploring, and no real timeline, no end in sight for this trip. I get to Vietnam, I'm seeing all of Vietnam. I get to Cambodia, I get to Thailand, I get to Laos. I spend a long time in Laos, and like, it's important just to like weave the story into this like other anecdote, because I'm really like connecting, right? I'm connecting in a way that's very different than how I've connected in New York, right? And I think it's worth noting, this is 2014. Social media is on its way up. We're climbing into this like digital age. We're deep in this, Facebook, Instagram. Everybody's on their laptop. Everybody's super dialed in and almost distracted to a point where like they've lost the ability to connect in a much deeper way. So I'm noticing this when I'm away, because in Asia, it's all about like family. Sit at the table with each other, right? Let's have a conversation. Let's look at each other and socialize in a thoughtful, simple way, right? Let's go out to the lake and like swing off the tree and just be there. Simple things,
together,
right? Visit the temple. Sensory, right? It was all like, what am I doing here? How do I feel when I'm here? Am I getting better while I'm here? Am I growing as a person? Are these experiences really adding to like my life versus me just in the everyday minutia of New York? So this essence became like almost a theme for me. And I thought like, wow, I love this nomadic, experiential, deeply layered sentiment, right? And I want to share that. How do I bring that back home with me, almost, right? And I started reading. I'm a very big like literary guy on the side, so just reading a lot and always absorbing more. And so I came across a character in a book called Fleur de Mal by a French author, Charles Baudelaire. He was around in the 1800s. He wrote about great cities, namely Paris, of course, New York, London, and he talks about specifically this character who is an urban explorer, someone who's traveled extensively through these great cities and is observing everything around them. They're very, very slow, they're very, very present, they're very patient, and they're just taking in everything around them in a very sensorial way. And it allows them to like enjoy everything they're doing in the most profound way. So I was really moved by this. I was like, wow, I want to live my life this way. This is the sentiment that I align with most. It's speaking to me while I'm in Asia. How do I bring this back with me to New York? Yeah. Keep reading, keep absorbing, and we'll come back to this obviously because it's all related to where we're sitting right now, and and this brand that I created called Flâneur Hospitality. Flâneur is the character that Charles Baudelaire wrote about as this urban explorer. So anyways, in Asia, going through all this, and eventually after about a year, I decide it's time to come back. I'm enlightened. I figured it all out. I want to be back home. So I come back, and I get to, my office, my family office, and I'm kind of like in and out. I have this entrepreneurial bug. I don't know if it's, if I don't want to jump right back into the family business or if I want to offer something different. I built this hotel. I spent a year away. What am I after right now? So in that year, this is now 2014.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have a lot of energy, right? I come in like firing. I'm out the gate, like just blazing. And so I decide in that year, I want to incorporate 3 businesses. I don't want to be long-winded about it, but 3 businesses. One came directly out of my family office. It was a prop tech company called Bixby Hospitality. So the concept was kind of, let me take a step back, right? 2014, we're like in this digital, almost, tech boom.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like trying to really, it was a little bit past the wave, like the initial wave, but everybody's starting businesses in that, in those years, coming out of the recession. So I'm like, all right, why can't I? That was my itch. I had to scratch it. So I looked at my family business, which was they were owning and operating a few thousand apartments in Manhattan and a couple million square feet of office space, but all of it was really, the majority of it is really Class B, right? Under amenitized. A lot of them didn't have doormen. Some of them didn't have elevators. They didn't have any, laundry in the building. Very, very under amenitized properties. And so I kind of looked at these buildings and I was like, how do we provide these residents with an easy to use, easy to implement tool, very lightweight, mobile and web-based, that just supports this lifestyle that they want to live, right? And so from that, we built Bixby, which was an app and a mobile-based, web app, and it allowed for the tenants to, pay rent electronically, log and track maintenance requests, had a whole suite of services that they could tap into. You need somebody to come in and change your air conditioning unit. You have a leak in the building you need to repair. Really, really shocking to believe, but like there's about 1 million apartments in Manhattan at that time that didn't have this kind of utility, right? They didn't have this, this ability. And so we kind of penetrated really quickly and thought, let's capitalize on this. And so within 3 years, we grew that business to about 20,000 buildings across the world in 35 cities. And we exited in 2019, right before the tech, the tech bust. We got acquired by a bigger company called Alfred, who's still around today. They do what we did for the Class A space, on the luxury side. Second business is a company called Radix Capital. The idea there, very simply, was how do I take the track record of success that we had with our family office? Because all the deals that we had done up until 2014, 2016 were all done with our own family equity. Mm-hmm. We never raised outside capital. We were not investment managers. We didn't want to be, frankly. And I kind of felt like we were leaving, something on the table, right? We had a near 50-year track record of success, and so with that, we kind of thought, why don't we start to become, investment managers, raise a fund, do one-off joint ventures, and just start to bring others into, creatively into these deals. And so fast forward, that business is, knock on wood, doing pretty well today. It's a baby for me, right? It's something that I care deeply about, but it's definitely not where like my real, my deepest passion lies, right? It's real estate is real estate. It's going to make, we're going to make money. It's patient capital. Of course, very dynamic, but it's not the sexy stuff that we, care deeply about, right? It's not, you're not bringing, these fancy designers in and curating amazing spaces and experiences. So kind of have that on the side, which is still operating. And then lastly, circling back to the concept that came out of the travels, bringing that back to the US with me, just ping pong a little bit. In 2014, my father approached me and he kind of said, we have this development site. It's one of our office buildings on Fifth Avenue. We are going through this landmark, process to effectively permit, right, conversion to a hotel. Do you want to, dive into this? And kind of like, you just built a hotel a couple of years ago. How do you want to be involved? Maybe you can get involved. So I'm like running my businesses on the side. I'm kind of like poking around. I started to uncover, a lot of the, architectural, some of the history with this building, which I can get into. And I was like, wow, this is like Pandora's box, but like in the best way. I'm uncovering like really rich history here. This building, 250 Fifth Avenue, dates back, late 1800s. It was a mansion to this aristocrat family, the Goodrich family. They write about them extensively in the New York Times. There's tons of archival information about them. And it was called the last Gilded Age mansion of this southern corridor of Fifth Avenue before everybody moved up to, the Plaza District. So, kind of like taking all these little, sound bites and uncovering more. McKim and White, the architects, of New York, the guys that really built a lot of what New York is today. Yeah. They were the ones that converted that mansion into the Second National Bank of the United States in 1907. And so that was what designated it, its landmark, status within this district of Nomad. Feels like a mansion, has this really, great Renaissance style, amazing, cornice, all terracotta, beautiful brick, just a lot of really special architectural elements, tall ceilings, as you saw. So I'm like, wow, maybe I can like really capitalize on this right now, right? I'm like thinking about this concept of the Flâneur, right? This lifestyle that I wanted to promote, right? A way of being, and I have this blank canvas. How can I bring that into hospitality, right? Mind you, like, I'm very fortunate. I traveled a lot in my short life. My parents were amazing. They took me everywhere. Outside of, a year on my own in Southeast Asia, I got to stay at some of the most amazing, hotels, luxury hotels around the world, all through Europe, all through South America, and many other places. So I had a pretty good reference, reference book of other properties. And I thought to myself, like, no one's doing this right. When I say right, I just mean, what is luxury today? I'm putting myself back, 10 years ago, when imagine the one hotel was coming online and the Edition was coming online. And no knock on any of these guys. I have a lot of respect. Schrager, all these, pioneers, they are like, gods, and they crushed it. They paved the way for everybody. But at that time, I kind of looked at the model for luxury and I thought, this is not luxury, right? To make a room feel very sterile and just paint everything white and make it all minimalist. That's not what I'm going for. I don't think that's real value. You're not delivering true value to the consumer, right? And also separately, you bring this theme that I mentioned to you about like slowing down and being present in this digital, crazy, fast age. And so I kind of wanted to marry the two. It's like, how do I get people to slow down in a really beautiful, layered, rich space, right? All of the curation, all of the experience, like in this one vessel, right? How do I get people to be more curious and almost like feel like they're exploring as they turn each corner and discover new spaces, right? And so from that like little idea came, all right, now we're going to develop an independent, hotel here at 250 Fifth Avenue, which took on many, many iterations. started as, are we going to do a Thompson hotel here? At that time, the Thompson was like a pretty well-known independent hotel. I'm sure you guys remember that, and they're great. That family is awesome. We have a great relationship with them. And so we started to develop, that model around the Thompson Hotel, but it was going to be a soft branded Thompson, much like what they did at the Beekman down in the financial district,
Yep.
right? And Thompson gave that developer the creative agency to like develop something really beautiful, and it was soft branded Thompson. And coincidentally, Martin Brzezinski designed that hotel as well. So I discovered Martin. He had done the Soho Beach house in South Beach. Loved that property. I thought that he really was able to like make a whimsical property feel residential, bringing all the woods in there and the fabrics and all the textiles. And so we engaged with them and started to develop this program. Eventually, I kind of said, I really want to do something even more independent. I want to like disband from any possible affiliation to any other brand, and I want it to be, because it's just so rich.
Yes.
Like, I felt like it deserved something, it deserved to stand on its own. And so from that came the business, which is, the incorporation of Flâneur Hospitality. This is the flagship, brainchild of that brand. Of course, I got super lucky to have started with something so big on a scale like this. I didn't think it was going to be, 153 keys, but so be it. On the northwest corner of Fifth Avenue, like at this level, and all these lot of capital, huge amount of capital that my family invested behind me in this concept, for the greater vision, which is to expand the brand and take it to some other really, really special cities, and even outside of the cities. I think as effective as it could be in luxury in these great urban markets, it'll be even more impactful, even more influential, if we can take advantage of some more like suburban parts of the world, right, where you've got great land, and you can program the land accordingly, and have people like just really patiently, in a more relaxed fashion, like discovering things, right, as they go through the land. And so we're working on that. But of course, now the big mission right now is, how do we create this urban oasis for New Yorkers, right, and for people visiting New York, because it's madness outside, right, madness in every way. And so the goal was, let's transport people to this eclectic, whimsical, just like really rich, fantastical sanctuary, right, like an oasis of comfort.
Yeah.
and calm, and thank God, like 7 months into it, we've been getting a lot of really great feedback. Everybody's been pretty stoked about the concept thus far.
Yeah, it's an amazing place, obviously. I'm curious, how much do you think your family, you said they backed you a lot, how much do you think they believed in your concept, and how much do you think they believed in you?
Good question.
What were they investing in?
Yeah. So it's an amazing question. I'm a pretty persuasive guy.
I can see that. I can see that.
So there's an element to that for sure. I did my homework, obviously, and I laid out the plan. I was like, this is what I want. It's going to be this amazing thing. Trust me, and they were like, you're a little crazy, right? You're 25 and you're like trying to go and build this, the next 5.5-star luxury hotel on Fifth Avenue. But with conviction and with grit and with ambition, you can really do almost anything. I'm not the smartest guy, right? I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room. I never want to be. I bank on my my ambition. I bank on my like the mental fortitude that I have, my perseverance. I want to blaze through anything, and I won't stop at nothing until I have it. So this is like literal byproduct of that. There were so many roadblocks, so many obstacles over 10 years to standing in the way of me opening this hotel. We went through capital workouts. We went through design changes. We went through, bringing in new food and beverage partners. We went through COVID, right? Like the whole world was shut down. The banks were just kind of like, you're on your own. So we had to go back to the family and kind of put that on them, which was huge. I can talk for hours about this, but the point being, I was determined, and it was like, we're doing this. It's happening. Yeah.
I want to know why the determination, and I want to talk about this for hours because it's fascinating to me. But what I'm sensing is, so you started 3 companies. This is your third. Your first one was tech. Your second one was a private equity fund, and this hotel. And I can just see it in your eyes and hear it in your voice. This is the passion. Yeah. This one's the energy. This is like 10 times the others combined.
For sure.
So why? What drew you to this? What makes you still stick with it? I mean, it's hard.
It's hard.
Why?
It's hard.
So why?
On the surface, and this is me, 10 years ago. Like on the surface, it's the sexy thing that we all want to be, a part of, and it's like this blank canvas of beauty. You're like, I get to work with the most creative people in the world, and like you're like a kid in a candy store. You're just like picking off of these shelves, and it's pretty remarkable what you can do on that scale and at that level. Between all the partners, Martin Brzezinski and Naho Hospitality, Andrew Carmelini, all the different artisans that were involved in this, all the purveyors that were involved, all the trades that were involved. It's like thousands of people to bring this to life. But the truth is, it's who I am. Like this is who I am. I'm a walking embodiment of what I hope to share with the world. I want that for hospitality. I want people to feel optimized. I want them to feel enlightened. I want them to feel like they've gained or learned, or I say this over and over again to everybody I talk to. It's this example of value, right? Like the real value proposition. There's so many hotels in New York that you can choose from. You're spending $1,500, on a trip that you really want to take, and you travel all the way from wherever it might be, 12 hours, 18 hours away. Like, what are you really getting for that, right? What is it worth to you? Is it just that you're coming to New York to pop a bottle of champagne and have a spoon of caviar and all these spoils that every other hotel does for you, right? I think it goes way beyond that. It's like, I'm going to sound a little cliche, but it's the truth. It's like, how do you feel when you're here? And are you going back home better, right? Whatever better means to you. Am I more relaxed? Am I in a place now where I want to face whatever issues I had? It really it landed for you. Like you came here and you were able to just let go. And maybe there was some cathartic moment that you had, maybe it touched you in a very deep way. And so we do this here, it's all within the service. It's all from the service. It's not all the beautiful things that we have. It's beautiful. We have the best food. We have the best design. We have the best location. The architecture, all the things that we just talked through are amazing. But it's literally the people and how they're devoted to you and how they're making you feel in the space. And of course, we create the ambiance, and you're transported. I've heard people tell me stories over and over again about sitting in the portrait bar downstairs. They have lost any track of, they don't know where they are. They don't know where they don't know how long they've been sitting there for. They just know that they're very happy, and they don't want to be talking to whoever it is, that's a couple thousand miles away. They want to be with you. They want to be with you in that moment, and they're touched. That's what's driving me. I'm telling you, it's these small moments, and I get this amazing reception from all the guests and all the people that visit of I've never had an experience like that. I've never had a service like that. I've never been greeted like that by anybody. I've never been understood by anybody like that. It's something, what we're talking about, a hotel employee to a random person. That connection, that interaction, it's kind of bizarre, but it's of course a byproduct of a year-long training that was employed here, led by our managing director Elizabeth Mullins. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, she's impressive.
She's amazing. Shout out to Elizabeth.
Shout out to Elizabeth.
Amazing. And so it's a football team. Yeah.
Operations, let's go down that path just a little bit. That's a different thing. And you say that's the secret sauce.
Yes.
I mean, talk to me how you're getting there. I get it. It comes from Elizabeth. You can see that when you meet her, and it trickles down from that. But
Yes.
year-long, you're talking year-long training programs.
Correct.
I mean, you've only been open 7 months.
That's right.
So,
I mean, we had to be very crafty. We had a half-built site that we were pushing to open by November of 2023. So we were scrappy. We had like offsite offices offsite that we brought everybody on like pretty prematurely and just went through all this training. We had teams of people coming in to like, of course, mind you, like it took me 10 years to develop our brand Bible, whatever you want to call it, right? Like what's the blueprint for this service model? How are we going to, like down to every last touch point, every last verbal, between the staff and the guests. So it was pretty developed, and it was like reps, just reps upon reps upon reps. But we're not actors, right? You can only like act so far and improvise so much. It's like literally in the recruiting, right? And it's about inspiring those recruits, right? You bring them in. We probably met with dozens for every single role, and they got to buy into this concept of like, I love this for what it is. I'm not loving this for the money. I'm not loving this for the recognition. All those things are amazing. We get the Michelin keys. We're on every list. That's all amazing. But like, they're literally coming here every day to like interact and connect, find something, find a way to make the person feel better, make them feel greater, make them feel, optimized in some way. I'm telling it to you like for real, that's.
I'm just impressed and amazed. I mean, you're obviously an infectious human being and with a deep soul. You can hear it. But we're in New York City, surrounded by high-rise buildings, Wall Street, financial district, that's what everyone thinks. And yet you're talking, of course, people, but more feelings
and
emotions.
It's weird to say it, and I know, people might think like, we can get into this pretty deeply. I'll try to scratch the surface. This is what people are yearning for right now. Yeah. It's the truth. Like going back to being disconnected and finding a way to connect again. Like, I won't go too deep on this tangent, but like we're living in this age, unfortunately, of anxiety. And it's I won't kind of name how it happened, of course. So there's many reasons why, but it's the reality. And so I think whether people are awakened to that or not, whether they're aware of it or not, I hope that they become aware of it. But it's my mission to kind of like give them some kind of a platform or some vessel or some moment to, I hate this word, but like kind of like heal from that in a way, right? And just to feel something, like to be more connected, right? And to be more present. So yes, Wall Street, financial district, high-rise buildings, everybody's moving 1,000 miles an hour. How do you get them to slow down is the real question, right?
Do you think you gained it? I mean, I'm guessing do you think it's always been in you, this feelings, this depth? Probably has been. And then, or did it come out on your travels and your trips and your awakening of yourself?
I've been this way forever.
Yeah.
I think, I feel like I don't want to be selfish. I want to share whatever I have. I want to impart whatever, like, very, very small amount of wisdom that I might have, or anything that I've learned in my life, and just give it, share it with people. So, yes, there's a part of me that just want to see people happy. I don't know what else to say. I want to see them enjoying their lives. I'm a self-proclaimed hedonist. Right, I want pleasure. Like, I'm all about the pleasure in life. Right, I think look forward and just keep going. Don't harp on, don't dwell. It's better to kind of just not be distracted by whatever's happening and just look forward. I try to float forward in whatever I do in life. So yes, it's always been in me, and to the point of like not being selfish. I feel like I have some small responsibility in my place in life, like with what I've been afforded in life, to share that, and encourage people in a better way, educate them in a better way. Of course, it's tough, right? With a hotel, people don't want to really read text. It's like very difficult. That was my biggest challenge, was like we have all this written information, this playbook of like how do we want to promote the brand, promote this way of being. But it's like people aren't going to take the time to really read this text. So it's like we have to make it, we have to find a way, small touch points with the service, with the guest experience, and how to like make it feel that way, or like set the room up in a way so that people are asking questions, right? We use this emblem at the hotel of a turtle. One small example. The turtle is everywhere. It's on everybody's lapel. It's stamped on every single book in the portrait bar library, and you'll find it in many other places. It's a part of our branding. It's on the room key. People ask, what is the turtle, right? Why is this the symbol? Most turtles are like symbols at like resort hotels, right? Somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean. But Charles Baudelaire, the author that I talk about as part of this Flâneur concept, right? He wrote about this man. In that day of the 1800s, it was a man in a fully suited, a top hat, this like really well-dressed man, but very humble. And he would walk through the streets of New York and Paris and London with a turtle on a leash. And you might ask, why is this man walking with a turtle on a leash? And it was to promote and encourage slowness, presence, right? So they could really take in everything happening around them. The smell, the bird, the birds that are chirping up there, right? I'm very, very slowly, thoughtfully strolling through life, instead of like just, that's who I was. I was the guy who like was just, running down the street from place to place all the time. And so this is also like a way for me to slow down, in my life. Back to New York, I'm running 1,000 miles an hour. We all are. And so yes, it's important for us to slow down. But back to the the way that we encourage this in the hotel, it's just people are asking these questions. They want to know how do we encourage that, and so we tell that story a lot of the time, right? And
I need a pet turtle, but you're spending an inordinate amount of time, energy, and money, okay, on this clearly passion project.
Yes.
And just in the business we're in, nowhere in there am I hearing return of capital, IRR, nothing in there. I mean, it seems to be your return is feelings, as we said earlier, and emotions from people, from human beings. Did I say that accurately?
You did. I mean, of course, I have one sole responsibility on the financial side, which is to, repay this massive investment that was made. And so I will stop at nothing, to accomplish that, of course. And by the way it's looking, of course, you're seeing, luxury hospitality, and performance better than anybody. The way that it's trending right now, it's looking very, very strong. ADRs in Manhattan are maybe higher than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Occupancy's, just pretty stable. Low 90s or so. We're exceeding every expectation, every pro forma that we had. We are outperforming. So for me, I'm very happy about that, and it's only we're 7 months in. The intention is to just kill it as hard as we can. Yeah.
What's your rate here?
We started about $1,000 for the smallest guest room, depending on the season. Yeah. Could be a little bit less, but yeah, small. But again, it's about the value that we put into the guest room.
I checked online; it's like $2,000.
Maybe that's based on what's available today, but yeah, a starting mansion guest room starts at about $2,400 per night. But again, you will literally not find a room like that in New York, let alone maybe anywhere in the world. So we're proud of that. That's a one of a kind, jewel box suite.
So yeah. I'm excited to go walk that later, by the way, with the cameras. But listen, you've 3 companies. You're only, how old are you still?
I'm 34, just turned 34.
Oh, old man, old guy. Okay, so 34. So you're 34, you've had 3 successful companies. Now you've just completed this amazing project, and it's open and it's working, right? Anyone can spend money, but it's got to work. It's open, it's working. You're clearly getting some feelings, some satisfaction.
Yep.
I think with all the success where we are in Manhattan, in this amazing 5-star plus building, I'm curious how you are staying humble through all of this.
I've grown a lot like the last few years through this, opening experience for sure. I think the most important thing is balance. You want to be extremely balanced in your life. Make time for everything that's important, all of these facets of life that are important just to keep you going, because I was burning the candle at both ends.
Sure.
Prior to opening this project, and it just wasn't worth, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It wasn't like worth my health, right? My mental health. So, making time with my fiance, making time with family, and staying humble is just about knowing that there's a bigger vision out there. It's not like we're not stopping here. I'm not stopping. I didn't open the hotel and suddenly like I'm done. I'm like, wow, let's just like sit here and enjoy it and just like, revel in it. I'm definitely not. I would not look at myself as like the typical hotelier in any way. I'm not here like sitting and splurging on anything, right? I'm out like looking for what's next, and I'm very committed to the vision. Like I'm very committed to the purpose here, right? And it doesn't stop with the Fifth Avenue Hotel. There's a lot more that'll come out of this.
So what's next? We doing this again? What's next?
Let's do it. There's a lot more to talk about. Absolutely. But yeah, what's next? We've got a big pipeline of hotel assets that we're pursuing right now, and that's globally pretty amazing. There's some markets that I'm just totally excited about.
Name one.
We can talk. I think on the urban side, of course, we want to hit all these, the great cities. We want to be in Paris. We want to be in London. We want to be in Tokyo. There's some other small cities that are just, I think, underserved right now in the luxury space. So we've got our work cut out for us for sure. But then, it kind of spills over into these more like rural parts of the world, right? If you talk about like, I love the Hudson Valley. I think there's a huge opportunity to do some more some like true luxury, product out there. People have put out some, luxury hotels up there, but it's, I've stayed at every single one of them, and I'm telling you, it's not true luxury. So, sorry, I don't want to.
No.
I don't want. Yeah, I don't. I'm a blunt guy. I have high standards. So, yeah, I think there's something pretty amazing to do up in the Hudson Valley. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to hear you. I mean, you're clearly disrupting the luxury space, trying to single-handedly disrupt the luxury space, right? And, God bless you, you're going to be very, very successful. But I think that's like something, no one's done that. Maybe it costs too much money. Maybe it's too complicated. Maybe they didn't think that the space was there.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to do it. You're clearly well-traveled, been blessed, great ideas, great passion. I'm visualizing you and your fiance going to be the next power couple disrupting this luxury space with unique creative ideas and hotels.
If that is what is in the cards for me, and so be it. I'm very blessed, extremely grateful. I count my blessings every day. I'm super excited about the future. So yeah.
So am I. We're gonna follow you around. We're gonna stay close friends. Yeah, because I have to come check out all your new properties. Selfishly. All right, tease us. Where are we going? We're gonna go walk this hotel.
Yes.
With the camera crews. I'm super excited. But give me a quick tease. What are we gonna see?
Public spaces. I mean, just like all these jewel boxes that we created, starting in the lobby, going off into the portrait bar. It's a duplex, really, really special. You'll never find a more beautiful duplex extension of your living room in New York. And then off to Cafe Carmelini, our experiential yet approachable fine dining concept, hybrid between French and Italian, very elevated cooking, led by Andrew Carmelini, really, really special. And then off to some suites. Yeah.
I'm excited. This is going to be great, with a lot of attention to detail in everything you've done.
Big time.
Let's do it. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for the time.
Such a pleasure.
Let's go walk this property.
Awesome.